Hello guys, TavHD here and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at some hard drives that I've bought. This seems like a bit of a repeat from a few years ago where I bought some hard drives from Scan, and I have done that again. Last time I bought two 4TB IronWolf drives. This time I need more storage, so I've bought two 8TB IronWolf drives. These will be going in the TerraMaster D2310, I think it's called, I can't remember. We'll get onto that later, but for now, let's unbox these and make sure what I ordered has actually arrived. Last time I had some bad luck and they both came broken. And just listen to this. So hopefully we've got a bit more luck this time. Probably not though, because I ordered them and paid extra for them to come yesterday and they didn't turn up, but that's probably just DPD being DPD, so we will have to deal with that. Now, one thing I complained about last time was the packaging not being very good. This time it looks a bit better. I'm yet to open this, so they might be smashed, but let's see. I've already cut the tape so we can open this up. Okay, so we've got some foam, that's always good to see, and it looks like the drives are then enclosed in this bubble wrap, and that is everything in the box. There's some more foam at the bottom, which is good to see, so hopefully these have withstood the postage system. Let's cut this open and find out. Last time they looked fine, I turned them on and they were clicking. Thankfully they were decent enough about replacing them, but let's hope we don't have to do that again. I'm going to overlay the footage of my unboxing last time just to compare whether the packaging has improved, but personally this does look a lot better. I've got the two hard drives just plonked at the edge of the box. If I was them, I would have put them in the middle and surrounded them by the airbags, because if something hard knocked on this side, I suppose it could have damaged them. It looks like one of the airbags has actually popped, so... Okay, so these look like a slightly newer model than last time, and it looks like they have sent me the correct things. These do look like 8TB drives, so I'm going to get my RAID enclosure up on the desk and then let's go from there. Okay, so here is the RAID enclosure. This is the TerraMaster D2310. They've recently stopped making this and they've come out with a newer model. Personally, I don't think it looks as good. I think this looks a bit more Apple-esque and matches my whole aesthetic, so I'm going to hopefully keep using this, and in the future maybe I'll upgrade and get another one, but this should do for now. Now, if you've been around for a while, you'll know that I bought this second hand. I had to replace the fan. Couldn't get the right fan, so I did some weird janky thing of plugging a USB fan into it. It was all a bit of a mess. It worked, but it was just a bit of a silly thing to do. I probably could have rewired the fan to fit into the native port, but I never bothered. So I actually gave up using this quite soon after I did all that, just because I didn't really need it for what I was doing at the time. I had my hard drives in my big PC, so this just seemed a bit unnecessary. But now my main setup is back on Mac, on the Mac Mini. This will be plugged in and will sit under my desk, and that's where I will store all of my things. So hopefully it still works, because it has been in storage for a couple of years, and I've actually put the original fan back in the back. Now, the reason I stopped using the original fan is because it was really noisy, but I put it back in just out of curiosity and it seems absolutely fine now. So for now we're going to run with the original fan. If it gives me problems, I'll work out a way to replace it without paying TerraMaster's stupid price, or without doing my silly USB fan trick. So that's something to think about in the future if we have to. So I'm going to put this into RAID 1. So I've got two 8TB drives. Putting it in RAID 1 will give me 8TB usable, but that means everything on one drive is copied to the other. So if we have one drive failure, all our data should be safe. Keyword being should. So let's get the drives into this and get this thing set up, because I've got a lot of data to transfer. I'm probably a bit weird, but I kind of like transferring data. I find it very satisfying just watching the progress bar move. Probably a bit weird, but let's just get started. I was trying to save the anti-static bag, but I've kind of made a mess of it, so no worries about that. Now, how do these go into here? I believe they just go in sat like that. So we're going to have to flip it over and put the screws in the correct places. There we are, that will be lined up, so let's get some screws in this thing. So I'm going to be sensible and put 4 screws in each. I might as well do this properly just to minimise the risk of the drive wobbling about and falling out. Whether it would or not, I don't know, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And I'll just cut to when I've got the other one screwed in too, because once you've seen it once, you've seen it 100 times. And there we are, they are now both attached to their carriers. 8 terabytes, 16 total. This is the most storage I've had in one place, I think, so that is pretty cool. Let's get these in. There we are, all secure. Let's plug this in and see what happens. I assume they won't be formatted correctly for macOS, but we'll see how that goes. But first of all, let's make sure that this is on the correct setting on the back. You just twist the little dial with a screwdriver. You can either have RAID 1, single JBOD, or RAID 0. It's already pointing to RAID 1 by the looks of it, so it's all ready for us to plug this in. Okay, so I've plugged it into power and I've plugged it directly into the back of the Mac Mini to give it the best chance of working. So all we need to do is press the power button on the unit and hopefully it springs into life. Right, so this has just popped up on my computer. 2 of them came up. It looks like it is showing up as separate discs, which is not what I want. So what I'm going to do is get my screwdriver, spin the dial round on the back, then spin it back to where I want, and hopefully it should then come up, because I'm sure it should just come up as one single disc. Alright, so I've now got it to show up as one volume as it should. I was being silly and forgot to press the reset button on the back of the unit after selecting which mode I wanted. So let's go ahead and do this how I want it to be. I don't know why this is so difficult, but I can't think of a name. I can always change it later, so it doesn't really matter. The format, I'm going to do it as exFAT, just so I can plug it into Windows if I ever had to. And the name, what can we call this? I'm going to call it Cosmos. So let's do that. You can hear the drive. It's a good job I'm not leaving this on top of my desk because it is incredibly loud, but there we are. It looks like that has worked. It is now formatted, Cosmos, exFAT, and it's showing up on my desktop with 8 terabytes free. So let's get some stuff on this. Okay, so what I've done is I've plugged in this external Seagate drive. This is Nova. This is a 4 terabyte drive, which is pretty much full, all with my old YouTube videos, so about 4 terabytes worth of all that. So I'm going to start the transfer from that drive to this, and hopefully that goes to plan, and I'll come back after however many hours that takes. Okay, so it's now the next day and you join me under my desk on my new little table that was £12 from B&M. This is where I've got my Behringer audio interface, my camera battery charger, my RAID enclosure, and another drive that's just sat there chilling. But I wanted to get this just so it's not on my desk being noisy. It's still noisy, but not quite as bad. So as you can see, the lights are still flashing. It seems happy. I've just finished one transfer. I've just copied nearly 4 terabytes from this drive. This is everything pre-2022 for YouTube and some other stuff as well. So if you look up here, you can see capacity 8 terabytes, available 4.1 terabytes. So I now need to get the rest of my files on here, but I have a slight problem. They are on this computer here. Now my plan was to copy everything off that onto actually that hard drive down there. Most of it's already on there, so I tried to just copy the rest so it was all the same, so I could just plug this one in and transfer everything. but for some reason that drive is being awkward, so what I'm going to have to do is take the IronWolf drive out of this computer, plug it in externally to the Mac Mini and copy it like that. Theoretically it should work because it is formatted to exFAT, so macOS can read it, so that's what I'm going to have to do. And that brings me on to what am I going to do with this computer, because I've had all my files just stored on this, but there's no real point because I'm accessing them more and creating them more on the Mac Mini, so it makes more sense just to have it all going on over there. So what I'm going to do with this computer, I've still not decided, but for now I need to take that drive out. Okay, so you join me on the floor. I'm going to try and do this without having to pull the computer completely out. I might regret this, but let's see how it goes. I don't know if you can see, but I have actually labelled these drives. That one looks like it's Nova, which is what I've already copied because all that was on that external drive. And this is the drive we need, so we need the fourth one up. So if I can work out which one that is, I'll unplug it. I've decided I might as well take both of those drives out because there's no point really having them in. Now, as much as I love this case and you can fit so many drives in it, there's just not enough room from where the drives mount to the side panel to comfortably even fit power cables and SATA cables. They end up getting so squashed, and I've always just been concerned I'm going to end up breaking a cable by ramming the door back on. That you can see the indents that have been made on the door because they just push up too much. The case isn't wide enough, which I've always found really stupid because I'd cram a lot more in here if I wasn't so worried about the cables, but it's just silly. They needed to just make it a little bit wider. So yeah, that's one thing I don't like about this case, so I'm glad to get these drives out because I've been scared of like snapping the power connectors off the back. So let's finally get these out and get all of my data finally in one place. Alright, so here they are. You can actually tell looking at the label that these are a slightly different model to the ones I've put in. I assume the ones that I've got, the 8TB ones, are just a newer model. Personally, I think this label looks better, but ultimately it doesn't really matter what the label looks like. So let's get the one that I need, which is this one, connected up and get that going. I think there's about 1.5 terabytes on here that needs moving. Okay, hard drive in the toaster. It makes me a bit nervous putting a hard drive in this orientation when it's been sat flat for so long, but let's turn this on wherever the button is. It's spinning up, and because it's formatted at exFAT, theoretically it should just show up on the desktop. And there we are. There it is. So let's see how much is actually on this. More than I thought, 2.5 terabytes, so that'll be another very big transfer. So I don't think anyone really wants to see me transfer 2.5 terabytes more data. It's something I will just do when I've got a bit of spare time. So I think that is where I'm going to leave it for this video. So yet again, I'm going to have my data somewhat more secure because it's in RAID. Of course, RAID is not a backup, we should all know that. I still need to have another copy somewhere else. That's why I've got that 4 terabyte drive, that one / the other one that's over here. They've got my first years of YouTube life and whatever on it. Then the rest I will have to store somewhere responsibly as well, but that is all something to deal with another day. At least I've got some sort of hard drive security with this going on. So thank you again for watching. Hopefully this is interesting in some way, and hopefully I don't fill this up too quickly because these 8 terabyte drives were not cheap. But thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.